I'm going to be talking today about a price, and that price is zero. And the problem with the price of zero is that in classical economics, all the equations blow up. You get divide by zero errors. It is not a price in any real sense because it's zero. There's no money changes hands. And yet, it drives economic behavior. So let me start more than 100 years ago with the first free as a business model. This is powdered gelatin. It's derived from animal bones, and there was a new process that allowed it to be powdered and granulated and put in a box. And this guy named Frank Woodward bought the company and decided to introduce this new product into the marketplace. Now, it's not easy to introduce a new product into the marketplace, especially not just a new brand, but also a new category, powdered gelatin. You know, before then you had to sort of boil fish bones for hours to get a gelatin dessert. And now you had a new thing. You could just pour water into a powder. So he thought to himself, how am I going to get people to understand that this product exists and to buy this? Now, one way, he previously had a patent medicine business, and he had this fleet of trucks and wagons that could do door-to-door sales. Unfortunately, there at the time in the United States and in many countries, a traveling salesman needed a license to sell door-to-door. So he said to himself, well, I can't get a license in all these new markets, and yet I've got this fleet. There's a loophole, however, which is that there was no license required for giving away things door to door. This was part of my country's tradition of religious freedom, to allow for religious pamphleteers to be able to visit homes and proselytize. No license was required. And so he thought hard, and he said, you know what? We will come up with something that we can give away door to door that will drive demand. So if we could switch back to the slides. This is what he came up with, a recipe book. And he got the greatest illustrators of the day to come up with these gorgeous illustrated recipes that used gelatin. The idea would be they would give away these beautiful books door to door. And then after you were finished doing that, the salesman would go to the local merchant and say, you're about to see a flood of demand for this new product called Jell-O. And by the way, I've got a truck full of them, so you can stock up. Now, when you think about this, and this is 120 years ago, when you think about this is genius, right? He's giving away one product, a recipe book, which has utility. It's not only beautiful and fascinating, but these are recipes that are useful. However, the recipes are not complete without one ingredient that you must buy. And not only that, but this one recipe book would create a lifetime of demand. And then comes the internet. And what the internet did is it created a new form of free, which for the first time really is free. If not for you, for almost everybody else. In the world of abundance, and this is the world the web created, where there's infinite shelf space, where we're creating more content faster than we can consume it. In that world, where costs are close to zero, free takes on a different nature. Free becomes a viable business model. What we're seeing is that the three horsemen of the digital revolution, processing, storage, bandwidth, everything that sort of defines your computing internet experience today is falling in price by 50% in less than 2 years. Around the same time that Jell-O was discovering one form of free, this economist was speculating on what would happen in a competitive market where prices fell. This is the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And we were seeing these industrial efficiencies make things easier and cheaper to make. And he was wondering what would happen as we got, truly competitive markets. This is, I believe, the first 21st century business model. All the first generation of the web business models were built around traditional prices. Amazon just charging product price for a physical good. All the Yahoos and the Googles using the advertising model that we've had for 100 years, where free content is subsidized by paid advertising, paid by a third party. But freemium is the first one that's brand new. And what freemium is you basically give away the majority of your product and sell the minority. Now, this could not have happened before. If you're in the muffin business, you can't give away 95% of your muffins on a street corner as samples because you'll go bankrupt. You can maybe give away 1%. In digital space, if you're online, if you're in the App Store, you can give away 95% of your product for free. Sell 5% to discriminating consumers who want more, and have a fantastic business. So the three big technology trends of the moment are all playing into the freemium model. The first is the app economy. If you have an iPhone, if you have an Android, if you have an iPad, you know what's going on with the app economy. We are seeing a huge transition from products and services that are in a sort of generic form on the web, in web browsers, to ones that are optimized for small screens and being in your pocket and being mobile. These are products and services that you're getting through a retail channel called the iTunes App Store or the Android App Store. These are increasingly where demand is shifting. People want mobility. People would rather not sit at a desktop and sort of hunch over a keyboard and look at a screen. They'd rather go about their life and have the computing come with them. And yet when you do that, because of the small form factor, because of the bandwidth and other limitations of the mobile devices, we can't assume big web browser experiences. We have to go for apps. The number one business model in the app economy is freemium, a free or light version leading to a paid one. Angry Birds, if any of you have played it, is exactly that. The second is the cloud. As more and more software is going from things that are running on local machines, the things you're paying license fee for, things you get over CD-ROM, or DVD rather, to just in the cloud, the marginal cost of those products is falling to zero. For the cloud is, if you have Gmail or Google Calendar or Google Apps, any one of those things, these are all cloud-based services. Salesforce.com, cloud-based services. Again, because they go into the cloud, they take advantage of those three technology trends: the falling cost of processing, the falling cost of storage, the falling cost of bandwidth. And it costs these companies almost nothing to provide these services to you. Therefore, price becomes arbitrary. It's a psychological test. The price is no longer connected to the underlying cost of the products. It's connected to your ability to pay. What we're doing with Wired is we have multiple prices right now. So we have zero. That's our website. Website's advertising supported, and we have about 80 US cents, which is what it costs to subscribe to the physical thing per month for a year. And then we have $5, which is what it costs to buy on the newsstand. So we have, at zero, we have tens of millions of users. At 80 cents, we have about 1 million users. And at $5, we have about 70,000 users. So it's a classic sort of, kind of segmented the market. But, you start to think, well, what about all those other prices? What about 10 cents? What about $100? What about $10,000? If you're doing this right, if again pricing is arbitrary, we should be exploiting all those different aspects. Interestingly, Microsoft's experience with piracy in the developing world became the guide to them for free. In the 1990s, when Bill Gates was very concerned about piracy in China, in a university talk, he accidentally told the world what he really believed, which was this. He said, China is developing. Someday it will be more developed than it is today. If they're going to steal software, we'd rather they steal our software for a number of reasons. First of all, it lowers the cost of access to computing. Take the software cost out and more people can use it. Second of all, it builds in habits and sort of path dependencies by which they're used to using Microsoft, that this market sort of snaps into a Microsoft model form. And thirdly, it will accelerate their pace of development so that when they can pay, they'll pay Microsoft.